As soon as that billing date, as soon as you get that bill, pay it off. Pay it off right away. Pay it off, all right? You don't want to let that bill linger around and gain interest, and you do not want to be late. Ever, ever, ever. That's a deadly sin, all right? Do not ever be late, because that's going to affect your credit score, all right? All right, let's get into some other things here, which is very, very important. How to teach teenagers about the dangers of credit cards. And a lot of us, and like me too, I'm a perfect example. I wasn't taught about credit cards. I wasn't taught about finances. And a lot of you may have not been taught about finances. So how can somebody teach you about something that they don't know? All right? My family didn't teach me, so I didn't know. So all I remember from an early age, I guess when I was a teenager, was if you work, you can buy what you want. And that's all that stayed in my mind. I didn't think about saving. I didn't think about investing. I had no clue what that was. All I knew, what my aunt told me, if you work, you can buy what you want. And that's all I did. And never saved a dime. But we need to be taught. Young people need to be taught at a young age about finances so they don't get themselves in a position as they get older and then they can't buy nothing for themselves. They have to always depend on somebody else to be a co-signer for them. No. And you really don't want to put yourself in a position of trying to co-sign for somebody, because if they don't pay the bill, it's going to fall back on you. All right? It's going to fall on you. Credit card companies are increasing their marketing to teenagers. Like I said, going off to college. All right, you go into Macy's, you go into Bam. I say Bam Burgers. That's when I was growing up, that Bam Burgers was around. But I guess nowadays it'll be Macy's, it'll be Sears, I guess it'll be J.C. Penney's, it'll be Nordstrom's. All these other stores that they have out here are always offering a card. Like I said, you don't need all those cards, because what that tells a lender that you're greedy for credit. That means that you're not responsible. You're spending money recklessly. Because if you have 10, 12 cards, why do you need all those cards? You don't. Like I said, Master, Visa, Discover, have any of those two, you're good. And when you get to a point, American Express, that's all you need. You don't need all those cards. Now, if you travel a lot, okay, now through your job, if you have a job like that, they may give you a rewards card, like a Delta Airlines card with rewards behind it. Capital One has one as well. There's a lot of them out there. American Express has as well. They got a lot of companies out there that are offering reward cards. If you frequently travel, whatever you do, or you purchase big items all the time, then you get rewards behind it. All right. All right. So I hope you understand that. All right. Many teenagers don't know much about credit debt, which they don't. But card issuers do not know a lot about the teens either. And they want their business. They want your business because they want to get you in debt. It seems like they're trying to set you up for failure. Really, that's what it looks like. Because if they're not telling you, they're expecting that you to know, but they feel they're trying to read your mind. If I get a credit card, I'm big time now. I can go out, I can buy what I want, take my friends out. I'm showing that I got a credit card. But if you understand the responsibility behind it and the consequences behind it, then there's going to be a problem. As a result, teens are in serious financial trouble because of that, because they have not been taught. And we talked about a broadcast about this about 2 months ago, about knowledge and wisdom. Information will gain you wealth, but you got to understand the information. Same thing, credit card. If you don't understand the information behind the credit card is not going to do you no good. And all it's going to do is all you're going to do is dig yourself a bigger ditch, and then you're going to fall in. Then you may put yourself 5, 10 years behind yourself. You fall behind because now you're paying all this debt, which you didn't know about, and now you're trying to recover, trying to pay all this debt back. All right? You first have to do your research. You have to do your research, parents. You have to teach the children. You have to do your research. If you don't know, then you need to educate yourself about credit and about finances. All right? I understand that it may be, maybe nobody can taught you either. But that's all well and good. But you can learn. You can learn as well. All right? Read up on credit card companies, the national debt average, the interest rate, read up on all that stuff. And you may not understand all that. I didn't understand it either. I'm still learning a lot of stuff about credit and debt and interest and profit gains. I'm still learning. But if you're willing to learn, that's what the internet is there for you. Use the internet to your advantage because it can help you if you're willing to sit down and take 5, 10, 15 minutes and study up on something. Now, 30, 40 years ago, when I was growing up, I didn't have that information. I didn't know about it because I wasn't taught. So that was not that wasn't in my, how can I say it? I wasn't in that type of environment or people constantly talking about finances and investing. So I didn't know about stuff like that. So I got blindsided. So that's what happened. All right. Did you know that credit card companies are allowed to visit many high schools? See what I tell you? And colleges. You may want to warn your teenager. All right, parents, you better warn them. Okay, don't put themselves in a position just because they 18 or 19, they think that they grown and they want their own credit card. Okay, but there's consequences behind it too. All right. They will probably ask questions, so be prepared to answer them. Talk to them sooner rather than later, not before they get themselves into a bind. It's not unusual for parents to begin talking about credit cards to children as young as 9 years of age. I talked to my grandson. I'm starting to train him and start thinking about money and how to handle his money properly. He don't get the whole gist of it at this point, but you got to start somewhere. All right, you got to start somewhere. Because kids these days are exposed to much more and they have questions for you already. They already have questions for you. All right? How to choose your first credit card. You got to explain that to them, parents. Open the first credit card is an important step. Like we said before, it's about independence. But also with independence, there comes responsibility as well. All right? There comes responsibility. Credit cards are a great way to build credit history to make large purchases and to use during an emergency. However, you should proceed carefully because you can very easily get trapped up into that. Because if you don't have no money in your pocket and you got that credit card and you want something, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be tempted to use that credit card because you have no self-discipline and you figure since you work and you get paid next week, well, I'll just take $10 or $15 out of this and I'll put it towards the credit card. Because see, what you're doing, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. All right? And then you start digging that ditch slowly but surely, and the hole gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. All right? However, you should, as with most financial decisions, there are risks and benefits associated with opening and using your first credit card. If you weigh your options carefully and are aware of the risk, opening your first credit card can be hassle-free. But you got to understand, in parents, this is where you come in at. Men, this is where you're supposed to lead at. You're supposed to lead in all areas. What did I say before? Men's job here on this earth is to lead, protect, and provide. If you don't have the knowledge, you need to get the knowledge. It's your job to do these things. Now, it's never too late. You can always learn. All right? It's never too late. Evaluate your current financial situation. See, you can't tell somebody else about finances if your backyard and your household is not fixed up, it's not right. All right, you can't tell nobody. You can't give them information because you can't tell somebody how to make $1 million if you ain't never made $1 million. You can't do it. So same thing with finance. If your financial background is not straight, you can't counsel nobody else. So start with yourself first. That's what I had to do. I had to fix myself first before I could come on the air and teach you on stuff like this. I had to get myself together. All right. It took a long time, but you can do it too. All right. Find out what your credit score is. That's the first step. Find out what's on your credit report. And you can get a credit report for free, all three, from Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian every year for free. You can get your credit report and see what's on there, and if there's any discrepancies, you can write a letter and dispute that whatever discrepancy is on your report and get it pulled off, because those things can pull your credit score down. Okay, and it can prevent you from buying the things that you need when you need it. All right. Your credit score is a number from 350 to 800 that represents your credit worthiness. All right. You can check your credit score by requesting a free copy, like I said. Now, 300, 350, that's the low number. You ain't gonna get nothing. You need to have average credit, and we're gonna get into this a little bit today. To have good credit, you need to be anywhere from 700 to have good. The average, your average will be probably from 650 to 699. That will be average. From 700 to about 749 will be good, and then anything above 749 up to about I think it's 800, that will be excellent. And then from there, from 800 up, 820, I think it's 820, that will be exceptional. Okay. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. All right. Since if this is going to be your first card, you may not have much credit history, or you may not have any credit history at all. If you have a high credit score, you may be eligible for better offers with lower interest rate and higher credit limits. That's what I'm saying. So if you, when you first get into credit, and like I said before, you may not have a lot of credit right now. It may take time to build it. All right. So you got to start off small. If you get a Macy's card and they approve you for it, they give you $300. Go in there and buy something for $20. All right? Buy something for $20. I mean, if you can find something for $20 in Macy's. If you can find it. Or $25. And then when you get paid, put that $25 in the bank, and then when that bill comes, pay it off. And keep paying. And you don't go, and you keep, if you want to keep doing that for 2 or 3 months, and start building your credit. You may have one credit card. Now, after about 6 months, if you want to get a Visa from your bank or whatever, now they're going to say, well, okay, you got one credit card, but you've shown responsibility. And they may give you a Visa card or a MasterCard with a $1,000 limit. And then you do the same thing with that. Take $10 or $20, pay on it. When you get the bill, pay it off right away. Pay it off. Then you start building a credit history. All right? That's how you do that. Credit cards are a great way to build your credit history, but if you don't have any credit history, it's more difficult to approve for a credit card. It's going to be hard. So that's what I'm saying. If you get approved for one, start small with small purchases, pay the bill off. All right? There are a few different ways to build credit that can make it easier to be approved for your first card, if this is going to be your first card. Now, some of you parents, I know a lot of y'all may have had credit cards. Some of y'all don't deal with credit cards no more. That's fine because you had bad experiences. Well, if you learn how to handle it the correct way, then you'll be able to be more credit worthy, and you can get that credit score up to where you need to. So when you need to go out and buy a big purchase, it could be you want to buy your first home, or you need a new car, or whatever it may be. Your credit score is, you got credit worthiness because you have proved that you can pay your bills on time, and you act responsibly on the credit that has already been granted to you. All right. We talked about secure credit cards. We already talked about that. You don't, and we really don't want to use a cosigner because a lot of people are not going to take on your debt and be responsible for your debt. All right. Understand the risk. When you use properly, there are benefits to opening your first credit card. However, first-time users are at risk of abusing them and piling up credit card debt. All right. So that's something that you got to be very, very aware of. All right. First thing you got to do, you need to set your budget. Write down. We talked about this before. All right. Set your budget. That's very, very important because if you don't know how much money you got coming in and how much money you got going out, you will never be on top of your finances if you don't understand about liabilities and assets. Liabilities and assets. You got to sit down, write it down on a piece of paper. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision, make it plain for them that read it can run with it. All right. Write it down. Write everything that you spend each month, including your rent, your food, your gas. If it's cleaning your clothes, it could be child care. All right, it could be your insurance or whatever you got. You need to list it down, compare to your income, what you got coming in, so you can understand how much money you have. If you don't do that, you will never be on top of you'll never be on top of the game when it comes to your finances. Never. You got to write it down. Credit cards are useful because they allow you to purchase items on credit rather than immediately taking money out of your account. But it's important to follow a budget. Know how much you can afford to spend each month. You got to know these things. And the only way you're going to know that is by creating a budget. All right? You need to pay at least 2% of the balance in every billing period. So 2%. 2% of your balance you need to be paying every month. Don't pay the minimum. What I encourage you to do, don't just pay 2%, pay the bill off. Because if you can't afford to pay that bill off at the end of the month, don't pay for it. Don't buy it. Because that's gonna get you into a bind. All right? If you see something that you want, all right, and you say, well, I don't have all the money right now, okay, this is what you do. Save up that money. It may take you maybe 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get it. Save up that money, put it in the bank, go use the credit card, and when the credit card comes in, pay it off. But remember, don't use more than 10% to 25% of your credit utilization that has been given to you on that credit card so you don't lower your score. All right? Those are things that we'll talk about. If not tonight, today, we'll talk about it on next week. It is highly recommended that you pay your entire balance each months so you don't accrue interest. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't want to get caught in that situation, because the more interest comes in, the more money you're going to pay for that item. All right? Know the benefits of having a credit card. A credit card is a good way to build your credit, which can help you qualify for lower interest premiums, low rates, and to help you approve for an apartment, car, whatever it may be. Look at your options. There are dozens of different types of credit cards, and it's important. And so it's important to consider your option when deciding on your first card. Just don't cop up and get the first card just because you want it. Okay? Be wise with your choices. Talk to people. What is the best card for me at my age? What are you using the card for? What is the card there for? Are you going to have this for emergency purpose? Well, this may be good for you. All right? Are you in college? What are you doing? What's going on in your life that you need? Are you in a field that you need to purchase things and you have money to come in that you can pay for that purchase? So it all depends on your circumstances. All right? Know the age of the income restrictions. There are always ages, are usually 18, some 21, because they want to make sure that you have income coming in that you can pay for the bill. All right? That's basically what it is. The length of time you have credit built is an important factor of your credit score. I'm going to repeat that again. The length of time that you have your credit card is very, very important to your score. Because if you have 2 credit cards or 3 credit cards, say for example, and you only had them 6 months, you're not going to have a good credit score because you haven't built it up on time. Even, say for instance, you have a card. You had a $500 limit, okay? And you paid it off. But you had $500, you paid that card off. All right, and you decide, well, I don't want this credit card no more. I'm going to close this account. Don't close that account. You don't even have to use the card. You can use the card every once in a while. But the longer you have that card and keep that account open, the more you get more time on that card, and that's how your score will increase as well on that point. Because if you have a card 10 years and you pay good history, that makes your score goes up gradually as well. That's not the only factor, but it's one of the factors along with paying your bills on time. All right, credit utilization and the length of time that you had that credit card. That all combines into giving you an accurate credit score on you. And when somebody looks at that, well, how long has he had this account? Is he paying on time? Well, he only had this card 3 months. Well, that's not a good time limit. I can't judge off of that. It's not long enough. You see what I'm saying? So it's very, very important not to close the account, but help hold on to it and keep it open. That way that'll help build credit. That's what I'm saying. You don't need a whole lot of credit cards. You only need 2 or 3. And let it build up on time, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Hold on to the card. If you want to purchase here and there, $20 here, $30 here, $40 here, pay that bill off, then that helps build your credit score up. All right? Compare secured credit cards with credit cards. There are 2 main types of credit cards, secured and unsecured. We talked about that. And it's important to know which type you qualify for. You may qualify for both. You may, but you got to look into it. Ask questions. Go to the bank. Get online. All right? You got a lot of resources out here that can help you when it comes to dealing with credit cards. All right? How to maintain good credit. Now, this is very, very important here. How to maintain good credit. Lenders use credit scores as one of the many ways to assess a prospective borrower's credit worthiness. That's one of the keys. 1, all right? Maintaining a good credit score by making wise financial decisions will ensure you can borrow when you need or want it. That's the key. The scripture said a good name is better than silver and gold. All right? It's better than silver and gold. All right? A good name is better than silver and gold. All right? So what you need to do is, when you're making financial decisions, all right, when you're making financial decisions, your key is to have a good name. And by doing that, you pay your bills on time. Never be late. All right? Being wise with the credits you have. Don't put yourself in a situation that you're not going to be able to pay that bill. All right? Have a good name. And if you have a good name, you can go and get what you want when you want it. Emergency, though. Don't go get it just because you can get it. Go get it when it's necessary.